This is the trees from the Dr. Seuss book, the Lorax.
You're right, Seamus. They say Dr. Seuss's drawings were inspired by this entire desert.
And while the dry desert landscape with its unique shapes and textures is amazing here in Baja, the reason for this trip is a little more on the wet side.
Oh, look at that, guys. Okay, so they're very close.
People come from all over the world to these bays, which are known as home base for the annual migration of gray whales. Let's find out more about Baja and if we spot some of the famous whales in
Travel with Kids, Baja Mexico.
travel. Who says it can't be done with the kids? Well, many have, and we're here to prove otherwise. Here's our story.
Sometime after college and before being grown-ups, we, that's me,
And that's me.
left it all behind for 1 year to see the world. With a one-way ticket in hand, we had a grand adventure across 35 countries.
Fast forward 5 years, a house payment, real jobs, and a different sort of adventure called parenthood. With these guys,
That's me. I'm Nathan and I'm 7. That's me. I'm Janice and I'm 5.
Now we're off again to share our adventures with you as we discover the wonders of the world, the wonders of nature, the wonders of parenthood, and sometimes wonder, what were we thinking in Travel with Kids? In this episode, join us as we discover the bizarre plants and animals in Baja's desert
This is called an elephant tree.
and ocean,
And what's this?
It's a mussel.
It's a mussel, right? With its two sides of its shell.
and learn some of the culture. Plus find out what the boys are doing here
Boo! Jump! Boo! Jump! Boo!
and what Nathan means by this.
Hello, I am Tissue. You may use me. Jump!
located just south of California, the Baja California Peninsula is the westernmost part of Mexico. To the east of the peninsula is the Sea of Cortez, and to the west, the Pacific Ocean. Baja's most outstanding feature is its arid desert landscapes. Just one road cuts through this desert, top to bottom, north to south, connecting Tijuana on the border to San Jose del Cabo, also known as Cabo San Lucas on the southern tip. We're taking this tour down Baja to Guerrero, Negro, about halfway down with Andiamo Tours. Andiamo, a family company, has been running Mexico tours since 1997. The tour departs from San Diego. Not only does this tour help with logistics and crossing the border and arranging transportation and accommodation, but this tour in particular focuses on the educational aspect of the trip. They even bring along a naturalist, Katie Fife, on this tour, a docent from Birch Aquarium at Scripps Institute of Oceanography in San Diego, to tell us about all the wildlife we might see.
The border came and was Upper California, Lower California.
Our bus leaves San Diego in the evening, and after explaining border crossing procedures,
Red light, green light system.
Esther Mitrani, our tour guide, gives us a rundown on the schedule and what we can expect to see. We will spend our first night in Rosarito Beach, then cross the Desierto Central de Baja California, where we will take hikes and learn about the desert plants and animals near Catavina, and finally arrive at Guerrero Negro, where Scammon's Lagoon hosts the peninsula's most famous winter visitors, gray whales.
The bus ride to Rosarito Beach in Mexico was easy, and the town is close enough to the United States to be well visited with modern hotels, serving big breakfasts, nightclubs, and shops similar to Ensenada.
Ooh, I want one too. Want this one?
And shopping is a great opportunity for the kids to learn a bit of language, and about the money, which in Mexico is the peso.
9, 10 pesos. 1, 2, 3. Mom, do you say cuántos cuesta?
And of course, the art of negotiation.
How many pesos would $6 be? I only have 9 pesos.
Just after Rosarito, the roads leading off the highway begin to trail off into dirt roads, and the houses are more simple. And soon enough, we arrive at our first break and the small town of San Vicente. Here, the recent history of the peninsula is evident in the architecture of the small church.
Indigenous tribes lived on the Baja Peninsula for thousands of years, growing food and hunting. In the mid-16th century, Spanish sea captains like Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo explored the coast. But it would not be until the end of the 17th century that the area was colonized. The first arrivals were the Jesuits, who founded their mission in Loreto in 1697. They were followed by the Franciscans and the Dominicans, who established more missions along the peninsula. These missions are typically small buildings with whitewashed walls, arched entries, and bells. In 1804, the Spanish colony of California was divided into Alta, or Upper, which was made part of the United States in 1848, and Baja, or Lower, which is where we are now. In 1930, the peninsula was divided into 2 territories, and in 1951 and 52, they were made states of Mexico.
This small museum in San Vicente offers a glimpse into the history of the area as well as a model of the mission, pottery shards,
How do they find all these?
and animal bones.
Ew. Is that real? Used to be. Yeah, that's nice. They even had doors.
The kids enjoy the museum and a break in the Zocalo, or town square, across the street where they run off some energy on the playground.
I'm floating. I'm flying.
As much as they do a lot of work, you still fly. That's what Catavina, and one of the nice things about Catavina is you have all these farms.
Back on the bus, the kids notice the change in scenery as we pass lots of commercial farms.
Look at all the tomatoes. All those white things are houses filled with tomatoes. Hey, look, strawberries.
And play games with their new friend Sasha.
Mike just passed me. Oh, you passed me.
We stop for lunch at the town of El Rosario at Mama Espinosa's, which is a famous pit stop in the off-road race Baja 1000.
I got a lobster burrito and pizza cabeza.
And the restaurant has its own share of local artifacts.
Those huge fossils. Those are awesome. Oh,
Esther gives Nathan a Mexican specialty. It's not quite as mainstream as burritos and soda. Warning, this may be a little creepy for some of you.
We're trying all sorts of different Mexican foods. My favorite is the chapulines. Grasshoppers. Yum.
But Nathan is not bugged at all. In fact, he gets seconds. And thirds and fourths, ew.
Yum.
Back on the bus, Esther gives us the lowdown on the Central Desert, which we have just entered.
The elephant tree is a short, stocky tree that you are going to find that looks kind of like an elephant.
Before we take a late afternoon hike to get a closer look at the plants and animals that inhabit it, Esther teaches all the kids on the tour, including her daughter Paula,
What is this?
about the different types of cactus that grow here.
This is a cholla, that's exactly right. And if you want to take it back, this one seems like it'll break.
This is a jumping cholla, but it has 2 things on its head, so it looks totally like a bug. Now I need to get prickles out of my fingers. Ow, ow, ow. All chollas have protection over the needles. Let's do music.
That one does music too. You found another cactus that does music. Oh, that's a pencil cholla. Guess why it's called a pencil?
Because they have really soft ones.
They're very thin. I don't know if
And they're soft. Yeah, they don't feel any.
Plant or
What's
animal?
this?
That's what we're going to answer.
Animal.
It's amazing what we find in the desert here, even in this short walk. And other guests on the tour share their knowledge with the kids.
Jim, is plant or animal?
Plant. I don't know. It has spikes, so it must be a bone of a cactus. It's a plant. It's the inside of a cactus.
Okay, this is a jaw.
Oh my gosh!
Okay.
It is a jaw.
Look at the teeth. Look at that jaw. Oh, look at those little teeth. I think that's a bird bone.
And the kids set off to explore on their own, finding different plants,
Growing out of the rock is moss, a cactus, and this green stuff. That's the cool stuff too.
and little critters.
Ew, look at that. Over here, I found like a bunch of little white ones, all squirming around.
And trees.
This is called an elephant tree.
And noticing some similarities to pictures in their own books back home.
The truffle trees. Doesn't it look like it?
They say Dr. Seuss was inspired by these boojum trees. This is the only place in the whole world that you will find these.
Except maybe on the pages of a Dr. Seuss book, that is.
Cool! Boo! Jump! Boo! Jump! Boo! Jump! Boo! Jump! Boo! Boo! Jump! It's more truffle trees, guys. I guess the oncer has to cut some more down.
We arrive at the hotel in the evening for a dinner feast, followed by a traditional Mexican fiesta, complete with piñata. It's lots of fun for all the kids. After dinner, the kids and all their new friends run around the courtyard playing hide and seek and tag. Today's the big day. We head out early so we can make 2 trips out into the lagoon to try to spot some gray whales. We're going out in small boats, and Esther says that sometimes the whales will even let you pet them. We're all very excited. To get to the lagoon, we pass through a huge salt production plant, where a guide tells us about how they get the salt.
And once the layer of salt is 24 inches thick, they drain the pond and harvest with special equipment the salt.
Huge mountains of salt await barges to take them to far-off places. But not all the salt here is for use on our food.
Only about 8% table salt, right? Yeah. All the rest is industrial salt. So.
And each barge holds 10,000 metric tons of salt.
Well, that's enough table talk for now, because here we are at the docks where our small boats are waiting to take us to see some not-so-small whales. But first, Katie, our naturalist guide from Scripps, gives us a rundown on why the lagoon is such a great place to see whales.
So this lagoon and the lagoons like it, like San Ignacio or Magdalena, are really unique in that you can get this up-close look at the whales out here.
And what we should expect to see.
We see little baby whales with their mothers, cow-calf pairs, and lots of different behaviors like breaching, nursing, mating that we don't get a chance to see when they're just migrating along our coast. Expect to see some breaching, which means the whale will come all the way out of the water and then kind of belly flop back down, making a big splash in the water. We can hope to see some spy hopping, where the whale sticks its head out of the water.
And she gives us some great information about the gray whales.
So the gray whale is a medium-sized whale. It's up to 50 feet in length, still pretty big, and up to 35 tons. It's pretty big animal. They're what we call misticete whales or baleen whales. So instead of teeth in their mouth, they have long plates of keratin baleen that hangs down. So the whales are feeding up really far north, and then they make one of the longest migrations of any mammal. It's up to 14,000 miles round trip. So up in the very cold Arctic, you can imagine what it's like up there. These whales have to have a lot of blubber or fat on their body to keep them warm. Then they start their migration all the way down the coast. They pass Washington, Oregon, and California down into Baja. And here's where they'll have their babies.
And then we speed out into the lagoon, and soon enough, we get our first visitors.
Oh my God!
Under the boat, it's coming on the other side. Oh, look at that! There it is, there it is. Whoa, guys, look at that. You see that? That's awesome.
Oh, he's doing the tail.
Seeing and hearing the whales surface all around this boat is amazing.
The whales are like popping up and blowing.
Mist from their blowholes break the surface with a loud hissing sigh and waft right over the top of us.
Some of his blowhole stuff landed on me.
Whale slobber!
Incoming!
Incoming!
The whale's blowing boogers on me. Boogers! I am tissue. You may use me. You may use me too.
And then they, the whales, come in for a closer look at us.
Look at over here, there are about 5 or 6 whales right there. Now you see it?
Yeah? Oh my God!
See them?
There's totally one there.
One over there, there's tons of them. Wherever you look, there are a lot of them. There it is.
And Esther has a tried and true method to get them closer.
Sing to it, sing to it. Come on, you gotta sing to it.
But Nathan has his own idea on what's drawing them near.
Because I put my hand in the water. Just sit there doing this with your hand in the water.
The whales roll around in the water, diving down and slapping their tails on the water, lifting their pectoral fins to the top and flopping around in a playful dance, and splashing around.
It's closer and this close.
Right here, look at those barnacles. It's gonna come right under us.
They're coming over here.
We even get to see baby whales.
That's the little baby.
Here comes a little baby. Not exactly with it. Oh,
Here we go. And look, the mother, see how the mother's protecting the baby. This mother's not gonna let the baby come to the boat. So the baby wants to come and the mother keeps getting between the boat and the baby. Look, he's playing. That answers one of your questions. What are they doing when they're doing that?
Do whales ever get bored from just that they go that way and then when they get there they have to come back?
You know, they don't even know if they're really playing, but we like to say they are.
A behavior called spy hopping, where the whale pops its head out of the water to see what's going on above the surface. And even whales taking a little nap.
He's asleep. Please asleep. The whale. He looks like a floating rock.
The whales are so graceful as they glide beside the boat, rolling around in ballet-like moves. It's hard to imagine that they were ever considered dangerous.
Once deemed the devilfish by whalers because of their fierce ability to fight back against the hunt,
Today, these guys are living up to the reputation of the gentle giants of the sea. They're really incredible, and they get so close to the boats. And hunted they were. Katie tells us more about it back on shore during lunch.
The gray whales have a very interesting conservation story in that they almost went extinct twice. So originally, the local native people in Baja and up in the Bering and Chukchi Seas, they would occasionally hunt a gray whale. But they were really hard to get. They were kind of aggressive whales and really hard to get out there and hunt them. So then along came this man in about 1855 named Charles Scammon and mapped out where there were good places for seals and dolphins and whales. It was a good thing in that he discovered it, he wrote a lot about it in his journals and his books. We have a lot of information at what Scammon's Lagoon was like back then. But it was a bad thing for the whales because that was then published and everyone knew where to come get them. So a lot of whaling ships from all over the world came into this lagoon behind us and they started hunting the whales. It was really easy for them to get these whales down here, all in this nice, safe area. The ships would just come in and they just decimated the population. They hunted so many of them that they became what we call commercially extinct, meaning there weren't enough of them to hunt anymore. Their population went up a little bit again, and then we invented things like faster boats and steam harpoons, and again, they almost went extinct. We hunted so many of them. Then we started to pass some really important laws in the US, like the Marine Mammal Protection Act and the Endangered Species Act, and these help protect our gray whales. So today our gray whale population is doing very well, and they're actually the first marine mammal to be taken off of the endangered species list.
After lunch, Katie tells the kids a little bit about the other sea animals in the lagoon.
Okay, so remind us what kind of animal is this?
It's a mussel.
Great, it's a mussel, right? With his two sides of his shell there. And he has all these little hairs all over his body, which are called byssal threads. And he grows those to hold on to other mussels and to the rock.
And just after we board the boats for our second outing, we run into another sea creature.
Sea lion.
And while they all enjoy chatting with them, we're anxious to get back out to the whales to see if we get a chance to pet them. So the whales must have realized that we're not here to harm them. After that conservation story, I can see why they would be cautious. But on this afternoon trip, they're coming much closer to the boat. And the kids learn to call to them in Spanish.
boat and she's scratching her barnacles off.
You gotta hold the kid.
But finally, we earn her trust and she surfaces just close enough. And with the assistance of another passenger who holds Nathan by the legs as he leans over the side, Nathan pets the whale.
Did you touch it?
I saw it. You got it, though.
All of us get a chance to get our hands wet and touch this whale. It's amazing.
It was rubbery.
Finally, our time with the whales is over. And back on the dock, Nathan relives the moment.
I got like right under his eyes and he was like swimming under the boat and I could totally see like his eye and he was just like, and then he comes up, so right here was out of the water and we'd splash water and he would just sit there going, like when your mom scratches your back or something.
The next morning, we head back up the peninsula for our return trip. And we all stop for a final walk through the beautiful desert around Catavina before we head back. The view